Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be learning about two major concepts. The first being gerrymandering, and the second is about the Illinois state government. These two topics both fit into our legislative branch lesson and unit because this is where we most often see these taking place. The first thing we'll be talking about is gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is the idea of redrawing districts so that they favor one political party. In our current slide, we are looking at Congressional District number 17 in the state of Illinois. Now, what I'd like you to pay attention to is the awkward shape of this district. And what I really want you to start looking at is this area right here. If we start looking at this area, we can see that right through Springfield all the way to Decatur, we see Congressional District number 17 makes a very awkward turn. If we follow this down and through, we can see that it's also up here near this area of Shelby, down all the way here, around, over, and then all the way up here through this main portion. Now, as you look at that, you might say to yourself, that's a pretty awkward looking shape there. How does that make sense as a congressional district? Well, this is an example of gerrymandering. Gerrymandering started out of this idea of trying to equally represent people. But in order to do so, they needed to divide up the population of a state into different congressional districts. It was learned by studying the population that Democrats usually live in one area and Republicans live in another. If you can figure out where these are at, you can start to change the vote so that you can start to change the districts so that the voting will lead more one way or the other. All right, so we need to look at apportionment. Apportionment is this idea that the U.S. House of Representatives is 435 members. Every 10 years, a census is taken, and it is done to split up the 435 members into and amongst the states as equally as they possibly can. Now, a census basically goes through and walks around America and counts how many people live in a household. One of the general trends that we notice is that people move. They are what we call transient. And so every 10 years, we can go through and decide, all right, if more people are moving to California, California should have more Congress people. If more people are moving to Illinois, Illinois would have more Congress people. The last time the census was done, Illinois actually lost 2 members in Congress. So apportionment is a process of dividing the 435 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives among the 50 states. As we look at the map here, we can start to see this idea of states that gained members versus states that lost members. Like I said to you before, we saw that Illinois, and if we're looking here at Illinois, Illinois actually lost members in the House of Representatives because our population went down. We see that New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Missouri, Iowa, and Louisiana all lost members as a result of their population change. We can also see other states that gained, in blue, members of Washington, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Now, as a result, the House of Representatives should be more representative of where the population is at. That is the point of the census. However, after the census is taken and the reappropriation needs to take place, this leads to redistricting. Redistricting is the process of revising the geographic boundaries within a state from which people elect their representatives to the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, much as this cartoon suggests, all right, Republicans and Democrats are going through and redrawing this map so that it would favor one side or the other. Here's another congressional district in Illinois that we can see an example of the gerrymandering. The earmuff shape of Illinois' 4th congressional district connects two Hispanic neighborhoods while remaining contiguously by narrow, tracing Interstate 294. So as we look at this, we see the northern portion of this traces on 294 and then moves down and through here. Now, by and large, Hispanic families will vote Democratic. And so what we would guess is that this is a whole Democratic area that then leaves this middle portion to either be more Democratic or maybe more Republican. Aided by computer, California District 38 was produced by incumbent gerrymandering as a home to Grace Napolitano, a Democrat who ran unopposed in 2004. Again, look at the weird shape of this district. What we would like to see is maybe more square districts. So we would prefer to see this instead of in this weird, unique shape where we're tracing all around here like this. We would probably, hopefully, see more of a square shape in which the people were divided evenly amongst this area. The fact that it looks so weird tells us that they were going through, looking at where the voters were at, and changing the district lines based on favorable votes. Now, that being said, I want you to realize this is not a Democrat thing or a Republican thing. Both sides do it. It's who's in charge of the House when the census is taken and the redistricting is done. One side is not more guilty nor less guilty than the other for doing this. The term gerrymandering is when a state legislature draws the district boundaries in order to favor a particular political party. That results in an oddly shaped district that favors different political groups such as a party or ethnicity. Now, as you can see here in this political cartoon, the salamander or gerrymander, which is surrounding this area. The term actually comes from Massachusetts, and a governor that lived or who was governor there at one point, whose name was Gerry. And what he did is he redrew many of the districts of Massachusetts, Roxford, Rowley, Newbury, and everything like that to fit his political agenda. When he redrew these districts in such weird shapes, a cartoonist called them and said that the areas looked like a salamander. And instead of just calling them a salamander, he actually attached Gerry to it and called it gerrymandering. And that's where we came up with this term of gerrymandering that we're talking about today. The Constitution only guarantees that your actual vote is secret. Your age, sex, household, composition, address, phone number, party registration, and voting history are all public record, and they're all made available to the political parties and candidates. As a result, our information of where Democrats and Republicans live is readily available for those who wish to find it. This leads to all of these crazy representative districts that are created throughout the nation. Let's just look at a few real quick here. If we look here in California, all right, we can see some of these crazy shapes from going all the way down here, all right, and then looking around, we see especially these areas that insert themselves into another district. This is usually an area that is maybe this might be the Democratic area or the Republican, whichever it may be, the Democratic or Republican area that this area wanted to isolate or maybe get rid of into another district, so that this district would then be more Republican or Democrat. Here, look at the southern portion of Nevada, how this area of the district comes way out of nowhere. As we move across the United States, we see examples in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, definitely here in the South. All right, all these places in Georgia, in the Carolinas, in Virginia. We see examples of gerrymandering everywhere. My point to it is, all right, this is not a one state, a one location, a one party problem. This is a situation that we have happening on a regular basis. We know it's there, we know it's happening. All right, it is illegal. State constitutions and Supreme Courts can declare them unconstitutional, and there has been some progress made in this area. However, it's still not doing enough. We can see in Georgia, the 13th district, and I like that they compare it to the roadkill puddle. So we see as it looks like something that you would find in roadkill. The Illinois 11th here is the mutant lobster. We look at these bottom ones. We see the Georgia, the 11th. All right, the profile of a smoking farmer holding a piglet. And I think you got to stretch your imagination for that one. We can also see over here in Figure 6, all right, the Figure 6 over here, the profile of a barfing lady. Not really sure where you can see that. But in any case, you can see all of these different examples of gerrymandering. Here again, we're still looking at more and more examples. North Carolina and Pennsylvania. So now it's time to try your hand at gerrymandering. If we have 4 equal districts with Republicans equal 32 and Democrats equaling 40, or 44 and 56%, all right, you need to create your districts, all right, and then try to figure out a way to redraw them. So what we're going to do is stay with me here and look at the slide. If we look at some of these districts, up here we see all Republicans. We also see Republicans and Democrats. Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, and then Democrats down here. How can we redraw District 1, all right, to favor one side or the other? How can we favor District 2 or 4 or 3 so that it's in favor of? So in District 1, we're looking at, and if we look at it through the bottom here, it has 8 Republicans and 10 Democrats. Democrats should all win, right? Because we see 10 Democrats, majority wins, so District 1 should go towards the Democrats. District 2, Democrat. District 3, Democrat. District 4, Democrat. Now, what if we changed the boundary lines and it looked like this? Now we see what's happened is because these districts have been redrawn, Republicans will have a majority of the power. All right? And so this is an example of how gerrymandering works. It's the redrawing of the districts to purposely favor one side versus the other. Okay, at this point what I need you to do is go back to your Google Classroom, find the guided notes, and I want you to put your guided notes into Notability and take notes on Notability so you can just split screen, use this video on one side, listening to, and then filling out the notes on the other side. In this portion of the PowerPoint, we will be talking about the Illinois state government. We will talk about how the Illinois state government is set up, funded, and then some notable members and presidents that came from Illinois. First thing that we'll talk about is the legislative body of Illinois. The legislative branch of Illinois is also called the General Assembly. Now, I want you to notice the difference between the General Assembly and the House of Representatives and Senate, our federal legislative branch. The state legislative branch is called the General Assembly. It is also a bicameral legislature with the Senate containing 59 members and the House of Representatives having 118 members. Much like our House of Representatives in the federal system, the House of Representative members serve a 2-year term. The Illinois House of Representatives looks much like what we're seeing here with 118 seats, most of which are Democratic. As we look, by and large, historically speaking, Illinois has long been a blue or Democratic state, and it is reflected equally in our House of Representatives. It is also represented in our Senate. Our Senate, which has 59 members, again, is largely a blue or Democratic group. All right, the executive branch. The executive branch of the state of Illinois and the leader of Illinois is called the governor. Now, as you can see, this PowerPoint was made before yesterday, and so Bruce Rauner's picture is still there. J.B. Pritzker should be the new governor that would be on there. Now, the governor acts like the president of the state of Illinois. He or she approves laws and vetoes laws. They approve the state budget, and they have the power to veto, just like the president does. All right, they're filling much of the same role, just on a micro level in the state. Now, governors do have some say in what happens in the federal government when they actually get to meet with the president. The president will meet with the governors every so often, every couple months, and they'll have a luncheon and dinner for all the governors where they get to express their concerns, talk about what's bothering them or what help they need from the federal government. So this person has a large influential position, not only in the state of Illinois, but in the federal government as well. We also have a judicial branch. The state of Illinois does have the Illinois Supreme Court. They are going to hear cases based on state laws and state information. There are 7 justices who serve 10-year terms. They try all cases with capital punishment and death penalty, and they hear appeals from other lower courts. All right, so where does the state of Illinois get its money? Where is it funded from? The state pays for services through property taxes, and this is money that is paid on land or houses owned in the state of Illinois. Sales tax, every time you buy something, you buy clothing, you buy candy, you buy something at the mall, all right, you are paying sales tax. That sales tax is going directly to the state of Illinois to help pay for them. There's also a state of Illinois income tax, money paid on money earned in Illinois. Not every state does this. Texas, for example, has no income tax, all right? So they pay for their things with other methods. This money pays for schools, police, and firefighters, public works, highway systems, all the things that we enjoy in Illinois and need is paid for by these taxes. Illinois also is able to boast some of the highest taxes in the nation, so we have that going for us. Illinois has had 4 constitutions, the most recent of which was adopted in 1970 and officially took effect in 1971. They've also had 3 state capitals. In 1820, Vandalia is declared the new capital, but in March 3rd, 1837, it was moved to Springfield. Here's a map that shows you the location the different places. It's actually started out in Kaskaskia, down here, and then moved to Vandalia, and then moved to Springfield. They actually chose Springfield because it was more center, and they felt like it was an easier location for people from Chicago and the rest of Illinois to get to kind of equally. Of the 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, was from the state of Illinois. Even though he did move here when he was young, he boasts and had his log cabin still in Springfield. If you've been to Springfield, you probably have seen it. Ulysses S. Grant, the general that won the Civil War and the 18th president of the United States, was from Illinois. Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States, and finally Barack Obama, the 44th president, all being from the state of Illinois. Illinois' largest cities from 2010. Chicago is the largest city with 2.7 million. Next would be Aurora with 200,000, Rockford with 149,000, Joliet with 147,000, Naperville, then Springfield, and then Peoria. So we see we have a very large state with a large population, and as a result, we get a large portion of representation. Please make sure that your notes are complete. When I return tomorrow, we will move on and we'll start looking at reviewing for our test next week.